Had a relationship you thought just wasn't working out? How'd you handle it? How'd you break it off? Was it instantly or drawn out over a long period? Are you still friends with that person today, or do you hope that you never hear their sound of their name again? Hello, my name is Andy, and today I'm going to talk about relationship development and the potential effects of different breakup strategies. Breaking up with someone you once loved can be very hurtful. When deciding to break up, it's important to understand the different styles that are used, and given the proper style, you could greatly reduce or eliminate the hurt. In this presentation, I'll go over unilateral versus bilateral breakups, indirect versus direct breakups, and finally the impact of choosing each breakup style. In a relationship, breakups, there are two different types of categories: unilateral, and the term used to define a relationship where only one person wants to break up. This can occur due to the person feeling like they are not valued or treated by the other person in the relationship. Unilateral breakups are hard for that person that wants to end it because many times the struggle is internal and the true feelings are either never revealed or the person is more aggressive. They can have a complete mental explosion. Bilateral breakups can be a little easier due to the fact that both members of the group realize it's not working out and that they need to end the relationship. Within the example of ending a relationship, there is two different approaches for finalizing. These are referred to as direct or indirect. Indirect unilateral breakups are usually when the person desiring the breakup is more of a passive person. By using withdrawal, a less confrontational approach, the relationship can end over a long, drawn-out period of time. This tends to make the relationship stale and can cause for an easier breakup. Another type of strategy that is used in unilateral and indirect is pseudo-de-escalation. This is where the person proposes that the relationship will benefit from a separation. The word pseudo is an example used because although they look to de-escalate the situation in hopes for growth, it is indeed a tactic used for making the breakup easier. The last of the unilateral indirect approaches is cost escalation. Usually this is the case if the person wants to break up and is more of an aggressive person. They'll use a strategy to make the relationship seem like it's not attractive to the other person. This example would be bringing up old fights, saying, "See, we always fight," and trying to intensify a problem that may have not been so bad. Direct approaches can also occur in breakups. When a direct approach occurs, it's usually a unilateral breakup, such as the state of the relationship talk. The person lets the other person in the relationship know how it's going and that they want to end it. The confrontation worry is not an issue for the person using this type of approach, and they are opening themselves up for it. The opposite of this approach would be the "mea culpa," which is Latin for "through my fault." The interesting approach is when the person doing the breakup puts the blame on themselves in order to lower the burden of the person being dumped. Bilateral breakups can also be indirect or direct. Indirect bilateral relationships usually happen when the two people fade away from each other. This is many times the case in long-distance relationships when the lack of face-to-face contact and the routine, unexciting phone calls cause the person or people in the relationship to grow apart. A lot of times the loss of lust and excitement can cause the two parties to part ways. Bilateral breakups can go one of two ways: negotiated farewells, where the parties realize problems cannot be solved and they part ways mutually, or the more painful of the two types, and that's the blame game. In this type of breakup, there's finger pointing and a lot of pain. Both parties think it's the other person's fault and they do not want to take blame. This usually ends with a lot of animosity towards each other. Post-relationship status after a breakup is directly correlated to the type of breakup style that was used to terminate the relationship. When a person or persons in a relationship use a strategy that causes blame on one another, the ending is that of spite and anger towards the other. There usually is not much hope for a friendship or civil scenario between the two parties after this type of breakup has occurred. Staying away from the person and talking poorly to them among friends is what will also result. When the relationship tactic of separation or de-escalation is used, the end result is that the person was too boring for me or I didn't have fun in the relationship. Although not as bad as the first option, hopes for post-relations are minimal. The last type of breakup can usually result in friendship or even a civil relationship post-intimate relationship. By using bilateral breakups directly, both parties can have the opportunity to say their piece and agree that the relationship isn't working out and not blame the finger on one another. By negotiating a farewell, the parties can have closure and see eye to eye on the issues that happen. They do not need to blame, but simply realize that things weren't working out. When it comes to a breakup strategy, it's important to understand and to take into consideration that the person you are breaking up with and how they're going to feel afterwards. Make sure you use the appropriate type of breakup strategy and greatly factor the results from that type of breakup you want to choose. The potential to be hated enemies or even friends, after all, comes from how you approach the situation and the style that's used to terminate the relationship. Thank you.